I might just throw a random fry in the middle. Oh, who's faster? That was good. So, poor little Ducati's been sitting here for the summer. Last couple months, I haven't had time to come up here and replace the starter. I believe the starter is dead. I went through the diagnostics. All right, I'll show you what the starter's doing. So I cleaned those contacts on the starter motor, and this is what it's doing. Sometimes it'll crank. Now the motor isn't locked up because I can hill start it, pop the clutch, and it starts right up. But I can hear the solenoid firing when you hit the start button. So I just connected the wire to the starter, it's right here. And then I've got this grounded, and this is running to my little voltmeter here. So I'm getting 12.7 volts directly from the battery, and it also says 12.7 volts on the dashboard. But when I hit the starter button, here, okay, it should get 12.7 volts, which it does. You can see it's, if you go to the middle scale, 5, 10, whatever right there, you can see it jump to almost 15. The 15 is the big mark in the middle. So it's 13 volts. And you can hear the solenoid clicking. It's down here. The connector right there, that's the solenoid below it. So that's firing normally. So I'm getting voltage. That means the starter, here is the starter motor right here. Okay, starter motor. And I've cleaned the contacts, and that's not fixing it, so I'm going to pull the starter off. There is a gasket where the starter mates to the engine cover. Here's the engine cover, it's behind here. This is the gearing and the sprag that's in here, the clutch bearing that spins the flywheel. I'm going to take the motor apart, see if some oil got in there, clean the brushes, probably put a brush kit in it, or I'll just buy a replacement motor. 3 hours later. There it is. Friggin' toilet. This is actually a new motor. This is the original Nippon Denso. You can see that the commutator has worn its way into the brush wire. It's actually deflected the spring-loaded brush and worn its way into the wire. It's probably the culprit right there. And so this company basically looks like they just machined the end fittings here. This is really the only design variable in this form factor. So they just machined this end fitting. This is where it mounts with these two eyelets here. Here are the two original factory screws. You've got a gasket here. So when you change out the motor, so you access it from the right side of the motorcycle. So what you need to do is you need to take out your oxygen sensor. Here's the oxygen sensor, so be careful taking it out. There's the mounting hole and the exhaust pipe. You can sort of see, if you look in here, that hole right there, that's where the starter goes. And I've seen people try and remove the heat exchanger. Don't do that, because this is full of coolant and oil. There are 2 passages, and if you pull off these mounting screws, it's going to leak fluid all over the place. And it's going to mix the oil and coolant together, and you don't want to do that. So leave that in place, take out the oxygen sensor, and you've got enough room to wiggle it out of here. So if you guys were curious where the starter is, how you get at it, that's how you get at it. So let's get at it. The other thing you're gonna have to do is loosen the fan shroud so that you can move it. The header pipe is kind of blocking entrance to the underside here. We've got to place the motor. So you're placing the motor from underneath, and you just need to shift the fan shroud away from you towards the left side of the bike, and then you can feed the motor up through the bottom here and pass it up through where the heat shield is here and pop it in place here. You can't do this with one hand, but you get the idea. So push it in and rotate it, and then it goes. So there is the motor. Can you see the motor? All right. Here is eyelet number 1, here is eyelet number 2, so we're going to put the screws in and fasten it in, and then we just have to attach the positive lead to to the motor and then fill the crankcase with oil. Oh yeah, don't forget to drain the oil out of your bike before you pull the starter motor out, because when you remove the starter it leaves a hole in the crankcase and that oil's gonna dump onto the floor. Alright, so this is why you need to remove your oxygen sensor. So you've got clearance here for your wrench. I'm using a ratchet wrench. There really is no other way to get at these screws, so extensions, unless you've got some funky, I've tried everything. I've tried a couple of universal joints with a 1/4-inch drive, and this heat shield is in the way. So you can remove this heat shield, but my screws are pretty well rusted, so that's not going to happen. So you get your ratchet wrench on here, and away you go. Not bad at all. Alright, so here's our starter. There's only one connection. This is from the starter relay here. There's your starter relay. There's one lead, comes down here and attaches here. There's one screw with no nut. There it is under the boot. So there's the screw right there. And just make sure you snug up the screw and put your boot on, and that's it. And then you can top it off with oil. Just attaching the bottom of the belly pan / fan shroud. We need to get that loose so that we could allow the move the fan shroud around and slip the motor in there. Starter motor. Sorry I'm doing everything in reverse here, but it's been a couple of months since I took this thing apart. I wasn't even going to do a video, but I figured some of you guys might benefit from it, so well, might as well do it. Okay, now the leading screws for the fan shroud here, the radiator shroud. Alright, one here and there's one over there. Alright, so we got to secure this connector onto the plastic retainer. There's a little plastic bracket here, so we've got to secure the lead from the oxygen sensor here to the plastic bracket, and then here's your connector. You've got to come in from the other side. I won't be able to do that with one hand, so I'm just going to connect this here. Alright. Oxygen sensor is connected right here. And now I've got to get some zip ties and secure this back the way it was. Alright, so I just curled up the wiring for the oxygen sensor. Now I'm just going to secure it with a couple of zip ties. A couple of zip ties here. I want to make sure we bundle this so we're not touching anything hot on the motor as best we can. Alright. Okay, we've topped off the oil. Now we're going to install the battery. Alright, let's fire her up and see how this new starter works. Wow, what a difference. The old starter was like, even when it was new, it was like